From episode 5, the Chit Chat Show is moving to 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time every other Friday. Follow the show now on Spotify and YouTube to make sure you don't miss an episode.
Would I get permanent residency in Australia? Yes. Okay. We might need to simplify that a bit, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the channel. It's good to have you all here. Thank you so much for being here for another video. Before we get any further into this, remember to give it a big fat thumbs up if you're enjoying. It helps out my channel a lot and lets me know you do like this kind of content on the channel. It's a big question. Would I get permanent residency in Australia? The simple answer is yes. The complicated answer is it's complicated. It's obviously not a straightforward process. Well, it relatively is. You just got to have a ton of cash. And that isn't the hurdle that bothers me. It's more the barrier to entry that Australia has put up. Now, as a Commonwealth citizen, being in the United Kingdom, it's easier for me. But the process is very straightforward. And it's not so easy at the same time. Australian permanent residency is an exclusive club. As in, as long as you pass all their tests and as long as you collaborate to a full extent on whatever they need you to do to acquire permanent residency, it is a relatively straightforward process. Just fees, an English test, maybe a skills assessment if you're going for a skills visa, and stuff like that. But nothing really out of the normal immigration process. Do you have to be concerned about. In reality with me, do I even have a shot at getting Australian permanent residence? Yeah, it's probably a very small percentage though. I'm going to work my butt off to get that goal. It is going to be a bit of a mountain to climb, a bit of a long walking path before we get to that stage. I'm definitely going to be going back to Australia at some point, way before this, because it's weird. Like, I think us as Brits, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but when we go to places like Australia, New Zealand, the Cook Islands, French Polynesia, stuff and islands in the South Pacific, maybe even parts of Indonesia and the Philippines, we get a sense that we don't want to come back. Because, I mean, maybe not so much for some countries, but when I was in Australia, I could have just stayed there. And in my personal experience, the Australian government treated me way better than my own government does, and it is ridiculous, the fact that that's even the case, but my interactions with the Australian government, whether it was the tax office or the Services Australia buildings to try and get Medicare sorted or anything along those lines, it was easy. I mean, they made the process extremely nice, polite, and friendly. I mean, I'm not saying the UK isn't that, but it's not to the extent that Australia does it. And would I, if I had permanent residence, be in Sydney or Brisbane? No, absolutely not. I could not afford it. I mean, Sydney was very much like London in terms of pricing in my experience. Brisbane was a bit more expensive, but obviously, as I said in my previous video, I have no idea if that's because that's the time of year I went. The Brisbane video is up here if you guys want to go and check it out. But the, or up here. It's somewhere here. It's somewhere. But but yeah, it's just a bit more of a grey area. I really loved Wollongong. If you guys haven't seen my Wollongong vlogs, I loved it. I loved it to bits. That town is so naturally beautiful. It's about an hour and a half south of Sydney, but you're still close enough to Sydney and connected to the incredible train network where you're not going to be completely overrun with things, but it is a bit of a grey area with permanent residency in Australia. Let's now go on the flip side. New Zealand. Would I go for permanent residency in New Zealand? Yes. Either of these two countries I'd go for permanent residency for. New Zealand, I do believe there's a Maori test. You correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, obviously in the vlogs I said kia ora, which is welcome. I believe the direct translation is welcome. But the I'd obviously need to study for that. And in terms of citizenship tests, we ain't even going to get into that because my Australian history is okay. My New Zealand history is pretty bad. But I respect both their cultures, respect both their countries. So I'm not trying to offend anyone with my I'm not trying to affect anyone with my lack of intelligence, is what I was trying to say. But the it is a question that I have pondered. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up today. Thanks for being here, guys. I'm gonna try a different outro today and just say thanks.